with only 8 weeks left of 2018, are the following 8 to 9 fixtures the telling point of West Ham's season? Is this going to define West Ham's season? Is this going to be the judgment on the £100 million spent? Up next, West Ham travel to the John Smith Stadium against Huddersfield, who got their first win of the season against Fulham and scored a goal for the first time at home after 659 minutes. Still, we come up against Huddersfield after a fantastic victory against Burnley. How do we set up for this game?
I don't think we set up any different to what we did against Burnley at home, to be honest with you. They've won one game all season. They're not firing. They're not doing too well, whether they're playing home or away. Our tails are up. We've got to be confident going into this one, and I reckon no different. They're there for the taking, as far as I'm aware.
Wagner's been a great manager for Huddersfield. I looked at some of their stats since they've joined the Premier League. They've not got the best of records in the Premier League, but they are still in the Premier League. They didn't really spend a lot of money, over the summer. I mean, do West Ham go into this game the same way and set up the same way like we did against Brighton? Are we going into this game cocky, overconfident, expecting to win?
Well, Wagner might have been pretty good for Huddersfield, but he was shooting the X Factor. I know that. But yeah, on a serious note, we've got to learn from our mistakes, basically. And even though we beat Burnley, if I'm honest, I think every blind man and his dog could see we were going to beat them, because there was nothing from Burnley. I don't know how they scored 2 goals. They did. We were all over them. We deserved to score 4 goals. We could have had more. So yeah, hopefully we turn up with a different mentality. Possibly not even necessarily to get a job done. Huddersfield are there to score 3 or 4 goals against, possibly. That's no disrespect to any Huddersfield fan that sees this or whatever. But yeah, we need to go in there less cocky, more determined, basically.
The referees announced for this weekend. It's a familiar referee, Chris Kavanagh. Masuaku knows him really well because he's the referee that sent him off for that terrible spit against Wigan in the FA Cup last year. He's also refed us this season against Wolves. Unfortunately, we were defeated at home for that game. One player I want to talk about on the West Ham side of things is Arnautovic. Do you get the suspicion still that maybe he is carrying a knock on that knee, and maybe we're putting a lot of pressure for him to be in the side? Because I don't know if you get that suspicion or feeling that when he is in the team and a tackle's come in, he's hobbling and limping away, and is he playing through that pain barrier?
He went down, didn't he, during the game on Saturday? And I think he was down for a few seconds, and I think we were kind of fearing the worst then. You keep hearing these stories that he's not 100% fit, and yet he's still being played. And ironically, if we'd done better earlier in the season, this is the sort of game that he might have sat out. I know that sounds a bit silly, but it's the kind of game that you use squad players for. And what Luke said, it's no disrespect to Huddersfield. It's only what we're sort of seeing Huddersfield doing at the moment that you kind of can't help feeling that. But because of the predicament we're in, it's not bad, but we haven't been winning consistently. He's got to play. But you just feel there's going to come a game where he's going to get challenged and he's going to be out for maybe 2 or 3 games. And I just hope it ain't going to be this one this weekend. But yeah, he looked apart from going down, he did look okay. I mean, he was brought off in this sort of quite late in the game. But we've got to be careful. And this would have been the sort of game I think Pellegrini might have given him a rest for, but can't have it at the moment.
I can't help when we all talk, we always do, that there's this confidence that seeps into a West Ham fan when we win one game. We've looked at the next fixtures, or the remaining fixtures of the 2018, and you can't help and look at that and lick your lips and think, there's an opportunity there. There is something that will define our season. That is the West Ham way. And the West Ham way is, come 2018, we've got crap points and we're struggling. Look, are we going into this game, realistically, be honest, are you going into this game expecting to win? Because I feel like that's the way we did with Brighton, and went the wrong way.
Yes, I know what you're saying. You're not saying anything different than any other West Ham fan is saying. We've all been thinking Christmas come early with all these fixtures in a long run. The only dodgy one is probably Man City, who, but this is West Ham. And we don't like to make things easy for ourselves. And history has a way of repeating itself, or putting our luck out. And in the most typical West Ham way would be to lose all the let's say mediocre games, winnable games, and then beat Man City 1-0. That's just the way. That's just the way it is. In highs, coming from the obviously getting knocked out of the cup wasn't great against Tottenham. But beating Burnley and the way we did it with Anderson himself, especially getting up some run of form, Hernandez getting a goal as well. Hopes are high, all the rest of it. We went there, beat them 4-1 last season away from home. Obviously, Lanzini isn't playing this time around, but every fan will be going into the game expecting us to win, or at least dominate the game, at least give Huddersfield a really good pacing performance-wise. But this is West Ham, and we could be on top of them for 80 minutes, and then right at the last minute, Moy could score a penalty or something like that. It's just, I'm not convinced. I'm not going to go, yes, we're going to go there, we're going to smash them 3-0, because I can't. I'm too used to being let down by West Ham in that sense. So, yes, they're a winnable, but come on. I mean, do you two seriously look at all those? I know what you're still, you put it in there, I've sort of put it with you in the group chat saying, this is what we're going to win. And I looked at it and I thought, mate, I respect you.
I'm always confident, mate. I'm always confident, and I know we're gonna.
Confident, though.
We are, but we are going to slip up. We're not going to. I think I said we'll win probably. I don't know how many games we've got. We'll probably win 90% of them or something. And I said we'd get some 21 points or whatever we got up for grabs. And I know it won't be like that, but I think the difference is, I think the thing that we probably would have learned from Brighton is that we don't go in there feeling cocky and thinking that it's going to be we're going to walk all over Huddersfield. But the difference is that we finally started to put our chances away. We created 22 chances against Burnley on Saturday, 10 of them on target, and we scored 4. And finally, I think I said to you lads after the game, like, finally we're seeing Pellegrini's thinking, his play action coming to fruition, because we can't argue that we ain't been playing. We've been playing all right the last few games. We just haven't had the rub of the green, And I've got to be honest. When it went to 2-2 on Saturday, I did think, here we fucking go again. Fucking comfortable.
When they hit the bar at 3-2, I was thinking that.
And they hit the bar at 3-2. Comfortable. I mean, it didn't look like Burnley were going to score for toffee, but they still got 2 goals. And I think, the irony is, and we've been saying this all season, is that we've got a much better defence, a better goalie, etc., but we're still not keeping a lot of clean sheets. And, I think on Saturday, there's a good chance, despite Huddersfield have only scored 1 goal, there's a good chance they'll score against us. But what we've got to do is make sure that we keep creating the chances and score more. It's the old-fashioned Man United way. If you score 1, we'll score 2 sort of attitude under Fergie. And I think maybe that's the way to go, because Pellegrini has already said he's an attack-minded coach and he's going to play attack-minded football. So maybe what we've got to do is keep creating the chances. And that's why maybe I'm gaining a little bit more confident. I get what you're saying about Brighton. I
don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think if West Ham are to progress forward as a team, and we all know this, that these are the teams we need to be beating. And that's why when I say we lick our lips, you can't help but look at that fixture list and go, right, okay, this could really, really define our season. This could be, come Christmas, we will know if we're in a relegation dogfight or we're doing something, or we're going to be mid-table, or we're going to challenge for something else. Because like you said, still, if we come out with that with 21 points, that catapults us to, 33, 34? If this is all obviously exaggeration, but going into the second half of the season, I mean, we'll take that. Absolutely take that. I'd take less right now if you said it to me.
What it would do. I mean, I know we're not going to get 21 points out of the next few games, but what it will do, if we got a good majority of points, it will make us it will then make us confident going into the second half of the season, and we can start playing a bit more freely and a bit more and thinking we're not looking down, we're looking up.
Yeah.
You know, that's what the next load of games until the end of this calendar year will do for us. You know, if we do pick up quite a lot of points, it'll be a good grounding for the next half of the season. We won't have to worry about relegation. But yeah, you know, but like Luke said, we're West Ham. You know, out of all these games, we'll beat City and get pounded by Huddersfield on Saturday, about 5 goals or something.
West Ham, actually, I don't know if you guys know this, but we're looking for our first back-to-back wins since January 2017, and I think it would come at a perfect time.
When they said, when I heard that stat, when they said January 2017, I thought it meant 2007. I don't know when the last time we started winning back-to-back games. I don't know when this stat comes from. I'm used to just winning and then never winning again for like 2 months. It's like winning's like a weird feeling for West Ham fans. It's like, oh, we won this week. Oh shit!
And then we lost the next week. And then we won again, and it's the roller coaster, as we've said. But you know, something I want to talk about is the difference. And I don't know if you guys have said this, and I'll put this one to you, Luke, first. You know, having two up top, someone supporting Arnie up top. Do you think that can make a difference? Do you think you've seen a difference in West Ham when Arnautovic had support up top against Burnley?
Do you know the funny thing is that when Hernandez come on, I think before that, if you see the play for some of our goals or some of the, I think when Anderson hits the post at one point, when it's almost looks to be turning top corner, and then his other goal where he pokes in for 3-2 on the lines. The passing, intricate passing in between the Burnley defence and around the box, it was just like watching. Like, I know it's an old classic, but it was like watching Brazil. It was like watching like a classic Arsenal goal from the Wenger days. It was brilliant, and I remember watching it going, this is getting a few LAs. This is really good, and it took him a little while to get a free run, but when Hernandez come on, it wasn't as if he had to do all the work on his own up top. He was looking, he was making the runs in behind the defence. I was kind of surprised it took him so long to score, to be honest with you. But the weird thing about Arnie's kind of turned into almost the perfect striker, because he seems to be able to do both roles perfectly well. He seems to be able to do the lone striker role where he can run around, run after every ball, hold the ball up, play in other players. But then also when Hernandez is playing, he loves running around for him. He loves running. He looks to see, he hasn't had the chance to do it many times, but it just seems to be. It could have been the fact that we were quite comfortable at that point. We were quite enjoying playing as a team anyway. So everyone was playing their part, not just them two up front. But yeah, Arnie just
when the substitution was made, we weren't up. And what I will say, Stel, over to you for this one is, do you see the difference? I mean, if you think about, you've said it there, Arnie can play as like becoming the all out and out striker that every team would look for. The runs that him, Anderson, Diangana, Hernandez were making was freeing up all the space to allow Anderson, for example, to come and found himself with no markers at all, because all the defence were looking at all these attacking players who have skill, ability, chances. Hernandez, we've seen he had 2 chances in that game. He took one, and one of them was blocked. I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Stel? I mean, does that change anything for the setting up against Huddersfield?
I think the front line has started to gel. I think they're beginning to understand each other more. They know what to expect of each other. I'm going to give him praise where credit's due. Snodgrass has been part of that as well, linking up the midfield with the front line. And who would have thought that Snodgrass would be decent as a number 10, because that's what he's doing. And he's linking.
Always had faith.
And he's linking. Everyone is linking up, and everyone it kind of understands what their role is now. And so when Hernandez comes into the fray, it makes it easier, because they've been doing it for 70 odd minutes, and then Hernandez comes in. It's almost like the icing on the cake. It's cherry on the top, And I just think it's like, we were due a good performance from Anderson after his last couple of games, and he's beginning to get an understanding of what's expected of him. Diangana, what he set Anderson up once, twice, I don't know, but
unreal.
I mean, for a player like that to come in
A kid.
and immediately gel with the likes of Arnautovic and Anderson, etc., is just unbelievable.
But still,
And surprisingly, go on, mate.
No, that's a great point, because I was literally going to bring it on to Anderson. Do you think having a player of the quality of the mindset, the skill set that Diangana is, that takes the pressure ever so slightly off Anderson and allows him to go for it?
Absolutely, because I don't know if you remember me saying, what a pity Lanzini, and I know it's arbitrary, but what a pity Lanzini's injured, because I bet he's the sort of player that would unlock a player like Anderson, get someone on his understanding. And what's happened? Diangana's come in, and he's got an understanding with Anderson, with the other front, with Snodgrass, with Arnautovic. And absolutely, you're right. It takes the pressure off Anderson, because we're all looking for Anderson to go, come on then, thrill us. Come on then, beat that player. Come on then, do this, do that. Fuck me, Anderson had a game and a half on Saturday. He had that, like the one that Luke said, he had a shot cleared, headed over when it was going right in the corner. He scored 2. He could have had another one. I mean, the guy could have had 3 or 4 on Saturday. And
I will say, yeah.
Go on,
sorry,
mate.
you finished. Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
I think this is going to be Anderson's biggest test, to be honest with you. There's a few rumours I've read online from people who used to watch him in Serie A that say that he blew a bit hot and cold in Lazio, but he was more or less, always, creative for him and that. But he's going from, a really good performance, high on motivation and stuff like that, to what is probably going to be a cold, dark evening up in Yorkshire, in Huddersfield. And I'm wondering how he's going to cope with that. Now, he played well against Everton away, obviously, when we first put in a really good performance this year. And then, obviously, we played Brighton away, where he wasn't that great, even though he was trying a few things here and there. But consistency is a massive word. And I think that, if he's really going to produce the goods for West Ham, he can't just do it every now and then. He can't just do it, one game in 3 or 4.
You're right, mate.
And this will be. This is the reason why I say the big. This is not like a away to Liverpool or Man United. This is up to like a kind of, I don't want to say it right now, but relegation dogfight team who have only just got their first win, their first goal. It's less important, but they still want to get that momentum. They're pushing onto it. They're not going to probably look to play much football. They're probably going to look to get in hard in the tackles, get on, put the pressure on straight away, not give you much notice. And if the quotes from Anderson are coming out saying, I'm only just getting used to the physicality and the rapidness of the league, you can't just go, I'll play good against Burnley and then maybe the next game I'll perform as well. He's got to do it every game. So this would be his biggest test.
I agree with you. I don't believe that players go into the games and go whatever. I think they just believe in their ability, but probably underestimate the Premier League. That's probably what it comes down to. And like you say, and every fan says, if they get paid that amount of money, they should never underestimate the league. But he's not the only player that does do that. What I like about the whole situation, and you mentioned him earlier on, Snodgrass, is I've slagged him off a lot this season and last season, even though he wasn't with us last season. But he does work hard behind this. He's kind of like the guy behind the scenes that works hard to allow the players in front of him that opportunity to go and do what they do. So his engine is what helps Anderson perform. His engine is what helps Diangana perform. And that's where I think Snodgrass does fit in well to the team. So like you said still last week, I'll say it again. I'll hold my hands up and say, go on, carry on, Snodgrass, and prove. You've proven me wrong so far, so just carry on proving me wrong. But
it's funny, isn't it? Because pre-season we were saying there were 2 players that were not going to get a look in, Snodgrass and Antonio. And Snodgrass has taken that opportunity, and he's gone with it. He's really taken it on. And he's proving everyone wrong. I wish I could see the same now from Antonio. It was a great layoff for Hernandez's goal. I'll give him that. But wouldn't it be nice, to really have proper strength in depth to start seeing Antonio performing the same way as Snodgrass is? Because then that would be, that would be superb.
Well, still on that, West Ham, obviously, every football team needs the depth in the squad and players. Antonio was fantastic the first couple of seasons he was with us, and obviously we've seen the big demise of his performances, etc. He's working his way slowly and surely. He's chipping away at the squad. He's getting as little appearance here, there, and everywhere. And like you said, Luke, and like you said, Still, he did perform well when he came on at the weekend. Is that his newfound position, his place in the squad? I mean, there's rumours this week saying that he's going to listen to offers. I know
he won't play a bit part of West Ham. He thinks he's better than that, and I won't be surprised if he goes in January.
Yeah,
I really won't. He won't sit. He won't sit on the bench for the whole season. It'll piss him off.
We'll keep that. We'll store that one because that can be for another show. We need to move on to we need to move on to Huddersfield because they're missing one of their better players. Philip Billing, he got another yellow card at the weekend, so he's suspended for this game. So I think they're struggling for backfilling his position. Luke, what do you know of Huddersfield? They're not really scoring many goals, but I know you're a big fan of one of their midfield players.
Yes, Moy, and I think if anyone's going to make them tick in the midfield, it will be him. But I was worried about him last season. We went and beat him 4-1. So if we play anywhere near like that, then perhaps I'm more worried than I should be. But they've got two kind of tall forwards, quite good in the air. I hope I'm saying this right. Depotra and Munier, I think it is. I might get that wrong. But I watched quite a bit of the game on Monday night against Fulham. It wasn't a great game to watch. It wasn't a spectacle. But you know they were from what I saw, the few clips I saw, it was they were quite a handful in the air. Now the last time West Ham sort of played players of that ilk was Glenn Murray against Brighton, and then of course we conceded a goal to Chris Wood in the air from the corner against Burnley. And you know as good as Diop and Balbuena have been. You know, they're getting up against a team who's desperate to get some points and keep going. So I think this will be a massive test for them. So I think it's going to come down to how quick we are getting the midfield going. Like you said, if Snodgrass happens to be in the middle, how fast he keeps them ticking. And then, you know, how far we deal with set pieces. I'm not entirely sure. I'm from open play, I think our defence is pretty solid, actually. But I think from set pieces, we're maybe a bit jittery, where we need to be a bit stronger. But they've not really got massively anyone to worry about. But there are a few players that you know I kind of like in there actually. That Moy definitely, but you know I'm not going to be too worried about him.
Let's move on to a bit of team selection. We pretty much know most of the team. Still, do you think there will be a change up top? Do you think we will see the introduction of Hernandez, or will he start the team as it is? And also, lastly, the Creswell-Masuaku debate continues because it sounds like there is a constant problem with injuries between those two, and as it comes to the game, we could be looking at it could be Masuaku that's going to step in because of knocks that both players are taking.
Unless there are injuries, there won't be a change. Whether it be at the back or up top. You know, if Arnie's knee's giving way, then you can see Hernandez maybe playing. If Creswell's injured, then you can see Masuaku coming in. But if it were me, if I could help it, I would put the same 11 out. Absolutely no doubt about it. You know, as much as Creswell has been receiving a lot of criticism this season, Masuaku's received more. And of the two, my preference is Creswell. And he was all right on Saturday. He didn't really get... surprisingly, Burnley were one of the few teams that really didn't sort of give us any problems down the wings, to be honest. You know, whereas other teams seem to have sussed us out, you know, and applied pressure on us, you know, down the wings. Burnley didn't do it. But Luke's right about set plays. The thing I'd worry about is making sure that you've got the right people marking the right attackers, because it was Snodgrass who was marking Woods, which was silly, really. It weren't Snodgrass's fault. But no, I wouldn't start anyone different, mate. I'd go with the same team as played on Saturday.
Look, I don't know if you're still there. I can't see you. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here, mate. Yeah.
Right, that's fine, mate. Any different changes on the team, or are you quite in agreement with still?
I am. I do think it's a bit of a weird situation with Hernandez, though, because I think that he's the kind of player that, if he does start, he would be effective. I think we play to his strengths, especially if Arnie's up top. And of course, he scored in the last game as well. So I would be surprised if he changed it, but it would be quite interesting if he did. If he did, and if we went with 4-4-2, because A would probably be going more attacking, and B would be quite impressive if everything we've been saying, Anton, since we've signed Hernandez, if we actually played to his strengths for once for a full 90 minutes, how much we get out of it. On the Creswell Masuaku front, I will say that it's weird. I love Masuaku, but only as a left winger. But obviously, at the moment, there's the players who are playing in that position are doing the job as they are. So there's no real need to put him there unless it's a substitute. So what I'm basically saying is that unless he's going to play left wing, we might as well sell him, because I don't rate him anymore as a left back at all. I'm not a huge fan of Creswell, but he's clearly going to do a better job at a left back as the more defensive minded player than Masuaku is. But all this means is that we need to get a left back in January. So hopefully the club will get pulling their socks up, doing a scouting and getting someone in. But I can't see it changing massively. No, not at all, to be honest with you.
Where I'm coming from on this is with Pellegrini, I think we're starting to see, or we know that expect the unexpected sometimes. You know, the team's not picking itself. Every week it has been different. There's been a few changes. And I think after you look at the tackle that Obiang received in Burnley, because it looked like he was going to come off with a bad injury, I think he has been training this week. But I think that Pellegrini is going to potentially look at games and think, you know, the connection up front between Diangana, between the players I mentioned, Anderson, Arnautovic, the way that Rice is playing. And I just think we may have to look at this as expect the unexpected and potentially see someone like Hernandez start against Huddersfield alongside Arnautovic. It's what I want to see. I'm not saying it's definitely what I think is going to happen, but I think after looking at all the team selections that Pellegrini's done, we certainly didn't expect Snodgrass was going to sit in there, and we certainly didn't think he was going to stick with Snodgrass, and he has done. So, you know.
Yeah, I think
Anton. Oh, sorry, go on still.
I think Luke sort of touched on. You know, some teams are a bit more physical. We're not going to, you know, and I think Huddersfield are going to be physical, which is why I can't see us starting with two up front. You know, and Obiang will be a much more suitable player next to Rice. You know,
I'm only relating this to the fact that he had a knock on Saturday, and there are there's only really small snippets of him training this week, and I think he did take a bit of a knock on Saturday. So if that does happen and he doesn't play, then it kind of leaves him potentially no choice.
I'll be honest with you, mate. Even if Obiang doesn't make it, I can't help feeling, unless he drops Arnie back, you know, I can't help feeling he'll find someone else to play in midfield. Maybe I don't know. We're short on numbers, but go on, Luke. Yeah.
No, I'm just thinking about it. Possibly it would be a better idea to keep Obiang out if he's not 100% fit. Move Snodgrass into the middle with Rice. Have Anderson as a number 10. Diangana out on the right. And Antonio out on the left. Because the thing you get with Antonio is that physical presence.
The Obiang thing's nothing confirmed. This is just...
No, fair enough. If it does come out. Because like we said, we all heard that the Arnautovic news against Leicester pretty much like an hour before the game kicked off. So that was like a last bit of news. But I think that I don't think anyone says. I think Antonio's been a much improved player since especially the Leicester game. I don't know if it was he was terrible against Spurs. I don't think he was that bad against Spurs personally. He was a lot worse on the pitch. But yeah, I just out of interest, I just want to ask you this. You know, you said you want us to play 4-4-2. You'd like to see Hernandez up top with Arnie. Do you think that would be okay from let's say in an entertainment point of view? So you want to see 4-4-2, us going for the goals, us playing attacking football. Would you rather us play that risky football, or would you rather us stick with Arnautovic up top on his own and keep it with one up front, just going for the counter attacks, going for the set pieces, maybe thinking that one will get us a result? Because let's face it, even though we beat Burnley, we still need the points on the board. We still need to pick up results and momentum.
Well, in answer to your question, look, I think for me personally, I'm fed up with the up and down of West Ham winning one game, losing one game. So I like to try new ideas. I like to try new ideas. So everyone talks about, you know, let's ram that midfield, but we've been ramming that midfield for 2 or 3 years and not performing that great. So maybe we've not had the right players. You are right. Maybe we've not had the right players, and maybe we do just now. But all I'm taking is on face value. When he came on, the last 25, 30 minutes, West Ham looked unplayable at that point, and that's what I need to see.
Yeah, it's a good point, mate. But I think Luke touched on it again earlier. We were playing really well even up to that point as well. You know, we were creating chances. We were
Well,
on top.
to be fair,
we were comfortable.
when we came out in the second
but,
half, I didn't think we did perform that great in the first 15 minutes. That was when we were starting to concede the goals. I didn't think we looked that comfortable in the first 15 minutes, which is what made me think you had to change it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I disagree.
No,
I disagree. I think we're comfortable throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. But I just don't think he'll, as attack-minded as Pellegrini is, I can't see him starting with 2 up front on Saturday.
That's fine.
More for the point that what Luke said, because Huddersfield are going to be a physical team. They're not going to want to play a lot of football. We won't be able to
all I'll say to you is expect
them.
the unexpected, Mr. Pellegrini.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, let's move on to predictions. We've talked about that too long. Predictions, still go for to you.
I'm going to go for a 3-1. Yeah. Well, it'll be 2-0, 3-1. We'll win by 2 goals. I just hope we don't. I would really like to see a clean sheet and win 2-0. I think our tails are up, and I know I'm being overconfident, but I think we'll win. But I think we'll win by a couple of goals.
Oh, I'll take that. Luke.
I'm going to completely contradict what I said when I first started talking about us being too cocky. And thinking about it, we won 4-1 there last year when I didn't think we'd come anywhere near to it. We played, okay, probably going to get some hate for this, but I'm going to go for 3-0 West Ham. They're hardly scoring goals. They got a goal. I don't know if anyone saw it actually, but Huddersfield had an attack quite towards the end of the game against Fulham. I think it was a midfielder going almost one-on-one with the goalkeeper and just spooned the ball nearer to the corner flag and he did the goal itself. And I was thinking, well, that makes good viewing if you're a West Ham fan. You're going to see it coming up against them all the weekend. So Anderson, I think he'll get a goal, keep his own confidence high. Arnie, typical, and then he'll probably go off the bench. Hernandez will get another goal. So 3-0 West Ham. Please, dear God, let that be to us, not to them on the day.
I'll take that. I'm going to go for a 3-2 victory to West Ham. I still think, a bit like Stell, I think we're going to concede. Burnley weren't doing well scoring goals. Neither are Huddersfield. Yeah, maybe they're coming across a little worse, so they'll find their way through. They probably will at our set pieces. But I still think we might hopefully get the 3 points, so I'm going for a 3-2 victory. Any last points before we go, lads?
No, I'm going, so wish me luck.
Please remember to... Is that a no then, Luke? No.
Are we going to say it about the double letter? About this
nah, we'll keep...
through?
Well, I think Ant got it wrong, didn't he?
No. There's he's talking. We'll keep that for another show. We'll keep this to the preview. Okay. We'll keep this to the preview. Yeah. Listen, make sure you...
One more thing about Diangana. Sorry, I just want to say, what a player coming from the youth ranks. We haven't talked about him very much tonight, but he took a whack for Anderson's first goal. And he's looking like you can't keep him out. If you dropped him now, I guarantee the majority of West Ham fans go, "What the fuck is Pellegrini doing?"
Yeah, and
kudos to him.
Yeah,
the academy's back. The academy is finally coming back. We're finally looking like we're going to produce some players. So long may it continue. Well done, Diangana.
Get your paper, get your pen, and write down when all our midfielders are fit, and you fit that midfield into our team. It's quite tough. I know you give it a attempt still. Anyway, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Make sure you follow and become a member of the Supporters Club. They're all over Twitter and Facebook. Great place to go on match days, home match days, etc. We have some decent competitions. I have been going on about it for so long. We have some great competitions coming up regarding the West Ham strips, thanks to our partners at Umbro and the Ribman of London. We'll keep you updated about what's happening there, but let's get backing him. He needs a lot of backing, as much as we possibly can. Anyway, he's been Stell, he's been Luke, I've been Anton. Come on, you Irons.
Irons.